Jews from Brooklyn and Jews from Israel, not the same thing. Let's get into it. Dyze in your house.
Nobody likes me. Nobody likes me. But that's okay, because I don't like y'all anyway. Man, I don't like y'all anyway.
We need to pay attention to all this stuff. And don't muddy the waters. Don't let your mind get sidetracked. Because you need to remember that when, it's going to be time to vote again soon. So it's going to be local elections, all this stuff, everything, all these elections. You have to remember that the Republicans would rather collude with Russians than collude with Americans.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Donald Trump is a white supremacist who enables white supremacists. No lie. I mean, that's accurate. It's an accurate assessment of the situation.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Dragnets. How do they work? Just say no. Yeah. Here's the problem with just saying no. You can go about your life trying not to do drugs, but you turn on the news and you see Wigmaster over there talking about public health emergencies. That's why drugs are hard to stop. Because of people like that. Big week. It's always a big week. Can't we please have an uneventful week? That's all I want. All I want is one.
Them Staten Island niggas still puffing them dust blunt.
Oh, Jay, why are you wearing that resist shirt? What are you resisting? Bunch of isms and trees. Bigotry, misogyny, racism, fascism, and sexism. The people here are the people on the South Shore, in the rich neighborhoods, the richer neighborhoods, not the poor neighborhoods, are brought up on bigotry, hatred, and classification of, societal roles.
Hey, yo. Who's in the house? Dyze in your house. What goes on, peeps? What is the word? Surprise, surprise. It is Wacky Wednesday, and you're getting a surprise edition of Dyze in your house. This is usually the prelude, the pre-show, the pre-game to the J Porks podcast, which comes to you every Monday. Excuse me, I'm a little bit excited, and there's really not a lot to be excited for. I just have a topic that I need to talk about. I need to get it out of the way because I need people to understand where I stand on this. And first of all, before I get started, let me just say that every Monday at andydera.com, and if you follow the Andy Dera Show on iTunes, you can find a brand new episode of the J Porks podcast every Monday night. We are coming to you with long form stories. We always go over an hour. We got the thread count. We have corruption. We document war crimes. That's what we do on the J Porks podcast. And every Friday, we take a little piece of what would be the J Porks podcast, and we bring it to you here on iTunes. It's Least Coast Radio for the least heard voices. That's right. I had to start my own podcast channel because I had so much on my mind and I didn't want to burden Andy with any more nonsensical stuff he didn't sign up for. Again, let's keep in mind that Andy hired me. Andy gave me the platform to do a podcast about music, and when my life changed because of fascism rising in America and I started doing this, he accepted that. So shout outs to him. Go visit Blue Vintage Vinyl if you need a record, or, they got other ways to play music too, but they got a lot of music there. Go check them out. Anyhow, here's the thing. Dyze in Your House is a podcast which is also a play on my last name. So, like, if you put in my government name to iTunes, you're going to get Least Coast Radio. If you put in Dyze in Your House, you're going to get Least Coast Radio. If you put in J Porks, you'll get Least Coast Radio. So it's easy to subscribe on iTunes via the podcast app, or you can even do so on YouTube if you're not a fan of all apps and stuff like that. But let me just address one thing here. I'm just going to lower the music just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit here. Now, the thing is, my last name is Dyze. So as you know, I am Hebrew, right? So for a lot of years, in politics, there's pro-Israel and not being pro-Israel. Some people are too pro-Israel, blindly. And I will be the first to admit that I am not a policy wonk. I'm not somebody that knows. I can't sit here and tell you what two-state solution is besides what the context clues tell me what it means. You know what I'm saying? That being said, I'm Jewish. I am Jewish. So when people who are of a conservative mind state try to sell me on their hateful fascist platforms, you know, they try to say, hey, you're not into this, you don't support this, you don't support that. Oh, but you're Jewish, don't you support Israel? We stand strong with Israel. If standing strong with Israel, well, this is like subcategory 1. If standing strong with Israel is supporting the murder of protesters in broad daylight by Israeli troops, if that's okay, then I need another then my definition of pro-Israel is something different than what I thought it was. Listen, I don't care who you are. I don't care if it was my family members. You go out and kill people, you have to be held accountable for it. I am all about, human rights. I was telling my girlfriend this in a private conversation. I won't tell you who I said I don't even want that person to die. I won't say that name out loud, but I'm just saying, I could disagree with somebody. I might even want somebody banished from my life, But people dying, not cool, okay? It's not cool. And it's nothing you could support. And Palestinians were protesting. Now, from all indications, it's not like anyone said, hey, they were doing this, this, and this. No, they just said, there's blood on Hamas's hands. Most of America doesn't know what that means. And you people know what you're doing when you say things like that. Also, keep in mind, Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister or President, whatever it is of Israel, is facing corruption charges. People say he definitely committed the corruption. The question is, can he be indicted for it? I think I'm seeing a parallel here of what's going on. But again, a Republican, a conservative would try to sympathize with me because I am Jewish. And I should support everything Israel does. There's a difference between being Jewish from Brooklyn and being Jewish from Israel. That's the easiest way I can put it. I'm Jewish like bagels. That's what I'm Jewish like. I'm not Jewish like, I signed up for military service in the Middle East. Because if you're an Israeli citizen, you have to serve 2 years in the military. Imagine that. Everybody in Israel who's lived there their whole life can probably kill you with one punch to the face. That's not what I'm about. I'm Jewish from Brooklyn. I'm about Passover Seder and stuff. I'm about not keeping kosher. I'm about being, part Italian. That's Jewish from Brooklyn. I'm closer, I get annoyed. I used to get annoyed when I was a kid when, a Hasidic Jew would walk down the street and people say, oh, that's your cousin. I'm closer to those people than I am Israeli people. So don't bring up Israel as a way, and my religion, which you're not my religion, as a way to try to get me to support the killing of innocent protesters who are just saying, hey, this was... Again, not a policy wonk, not going to get into what the protesting was over, but people are allowed to protest. That's democracy. Okay? I am Bialys. Bagels with cream cheese. I'm not a fish eater, but like white fish and stuff. You know? Isaac's Bakery. DeFara's Pizza. Brighton Beach. I hate to say it, but my family is closer to being hacked into by Russians than it is Israelis. So the whole idea that conservatives try to push, that Christian, Catholic, whatever, Bible-thumping conservatives, Israel is the promised land, blah, 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 this and that. They try to feed that to Hebrew people. They try to feed that to people who they hear are Jewish because they think that that's going to help them gain some sort of, grow the conservative electorate. And it has worked. It's worked. And it's disgusting and it's appalling and it's something that can't be justified. Murdering people is not cool, man. I don't know the geopolitics of it, but here's what I know. It's a freaking building, okay? It's a building. And you thought it was okay to kill people over it. And that's not something that I will ever be able to accept. And I just had to come on. This is going to be shorter than the usual ones. I just had to come on here and let everybody know that, I am a Jewish American who is calling bullshit on this whole blindly supporting Israel. I'm not saying I don't support it. I don't support the actions of murdering of Palestinians. And who are the Congress people speaking up on it? Who are the Congress people who are a member of a political party speaking up on it? Not the ones that dabble in the middle. Not the ones that we don't know if they have any intentions on running. Not the ones who have wacky conspiracy theories and go on television and represent Democrats, even though they have an I in parentheses next to their name. I'm not saying those people. Where are the actual politicians speaking up? No one? Sick. It's twisted behavior. Because the midterms are coming up. Because you think that Americans are stupid enough, and therefore a majority of Americans of the Jewish faith are stupid enough to think that, there should be a reason to accept the human rights atrocities that go on. It's not. It's not at all. And I had to come on and I had to just, put a pause on this so this wouldn't simmer all week. So let's just say, exactly what's going to happen. A bunch of stuff starts breaking over the week. And this gets buried. I don't want people to forget. I don't want people to think, oh, Jay's Jewish, he supports Israel. I might support some things, but I don't support the killing or murdering of innocent Palestinian protesters who did nothing. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you can give me the list of things that are Israel that I support, that are supported by Americans, and I'll do the checklist. But I'm not going to check them all in a box just because, I was in Hebrew school once. I'm not going to do that. Even though I let down my family by dropping out of Hebrew school. Sucked. But I did go to day camp in the summer. Jewish day camp. Got my Torah on. I did. I know some of the 4 questions at Passover. Like, I'm Brooklyn Jewish. There's a difference. Like, do I have a yarmulke that I own? Yes. But is it a New York Rangers 1994 Stanley Cup Champions yarmulke? Yes. Brooklyn Jewish. Williamsburg. Honestly, like, gentrification, like that, sorry. I'm sorry, like, not me personally, but, like, that is the line of Jewish I come out of. Like, stuff like that. Public school. not private paid education school. Brooklyn Jewish. So, there's a difference. And I just want, like, people need to understand that Jewish people from Israel, just because we do the same religion, doesn't mean that that's the same thing. And if you want to go deeper, I am Brooklyn Liberal Reform Jew, which is, like, so far from, like, conventional. I don't even keep kosher. I mean, I like turkey bacon, but I had regular bacon the other day at Harold's. Harold's Jewish Deli, by the way, which had a huge BLT. It's part of my girlfriend's birthday. Okay, so just the point here is that Brooklyn Jew, not necessarily blindly supporting everything Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli Jewish people are all about. And that includes the human rights atrocities that happen when people are just protesting a building. Again, maybe I should look it up, but I have a feeling that things in America are a little messy, and they're going to get messier this week. And I'm going to have to address those. Like, for instance, Novartis. You know, their lawyers quitting. These companies are admitting they made a mistake by paying Michael Cohen. Is that a prelude to something? Possibly an indictment? Got stuff going on. We're going to have a big week. Also, North Korea playing us like I said they would. Didn't I say they weren't giving up their nukes? They are only giving up their nukes if they had one perfected and aimed at us at all times. Playing us? Because China is going to replace us on top of the world stage? Canceling the summit? What happened to the summit? It's in jeopardy? Is that because we don't have an ambassador to South Korea? Is that why they cut off talks? Nobel Peace Prize on hold? Jay Borks, Dyze in your house. Hey yo, folks, Jay Porks here, recording my own commercials. Jay Porks of the legendary Least Coast Radio. If you want to find out more about Least Coast Radio, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to either YouTube or you're going to go to the podcast app on iTunes. You're going to type in Least Coast Radio. You are also, or either, going to type in Jay Porks or type in Dyze in your house. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a show, and you're going to subscribe to it. And every Friday at or around 6 o'clock, we bring you the latest breaking news coming straight off the desk of the Jay Porks podcast. The stuff we can't fit in to the long-form show on Monday on the Dare Network, we fit it in on Least Coast Radio. That's iTunes. That's Friday, 6 o'clock, podcast app. Keep it locked. If you subscribe, you could find yourself getting Jay Porks podcasts, episodes of Dyze in your house, special editions during the week. Anytime, basically, that there's something that's on the mind of Jay Porks, you will get Dyze in your house. So that's Least Coast Radio for the least heard voices. Keep it locked in 2018. This is a grassroots movement, and we are here to take over the airwaves.